Please join me for Ask the Good Doctor, live today and every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 noon Central Standard Time, and 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bring your questions.
Good afternoon. It's Wellness Wednesday. I'm Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire, and welcome to Ask the Good Doctor. I am here to help you attain, maintain, and reclaim your perfect health. Grab your Good Doctor notebook. You're not going to want to miss a moment of this. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Join me on Twitter at Ask the Good Doc, on Instagram and Facebook at Ask the Good Doctor. Let's get right to it. There has been a report recently about foods that have been banned. Yes. Now, I am always speaking to you all about how to eat healthy, things we should avoid, toxic food, how some foods are a toxic chemical of soup. Yes. And I know you all think I'm a little freak for that. Take a look at this newscast.
We want to turn now to a series of stories that we are doing this week on how U.S. food regulations have left American consumers exposed to chemicals and additives that have been banned in other countries. CBS's Holly Williams goes in depth to show us how some of these ingredients may be linked to cancer and other health-related issues.
From baguettes to focaccia, Europe is famous for its bread, but one ingredient is missing. Potassium bromate is a suspected carcinogen that's banned for human consumption in Europe as well as China and India, but legal in the US, where it's used by some food makers to strengthen dough and estimated to be present in over 100 products.
There is evidence that it may be toxic to human consumers, that it may even either initiate or promote the development of tumours.
Professor Eric Millstone is an expert on food additives and told us European countries take a much more cautious approach to food safety.
Can we say for sure that these differences in regulations mean that people in the US have developed cancers that they would not have developed if they'd been eating only in Europe?
I think that is almost certainly the conclusion that we could reach.
It's not just potassium bromate, but many other chemicals and substances that are banned here in Europe over health concerns, but considered safe by the FDA.
Do you think most Americans are aware that they're being exposed to substances that are viewed as dangerous over here?
They probably just think, well, if it's available and it's in the store, then it's probably fine.
Stacey McNamara is from upstate New York, but has been living in London for 10 years. She told us raising children on this side of the Atlantic has opened her eyes to what's allowed in food in the US. She has no plans to ever move back home.
And is food safety a part of that decision?
For sure, yeah. How am I going to protect my children when it's just everywhere?
In a statement to CBS News, the FDA said that when used properly, potassium bromate converts to a harmless substance during food production. But at the same time, Nora, it acknowledged that not all potassium bromate may convert, saying control measures can minimize the amount in food.
Holly Williams, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Now, do you believe me? Yes, these foods are being banned. Here's the question I have. Why is California the only state that's harping on this? The lawmakers there have banned these 5 toxic chemicals in our foods, and it is titanium dioxide, potassium bromate, brominated vegetable oil. I keep telling y'all vegetable oil is not a thing. I'm telling you. You have never squeezed vegetable and got oil out of it. Vegetable oil is not a thing. You have never squeezed vegetables and gotten oil out of it. If you have, write me, drop me a comment, send me an email, tell me I'm crazy, but I am not. Vegetable oil is a made-up construct. It is a chemical cocktail. Also on the list is red dye number 3. All of you Twizzler eaters, red dye number 3. Danger, danger, danger. And paraben, propylol paraben. That's it. Combined, these chemicals are estrogen disruptors. They lower sperm count and cause cancer in animals and in humans, and they disrupt the gut microbiome. Why do you think so many people have digestive upset? And why do you think now there's more information about the microbiome than ever before? This was a term that was exclusively used by doctors. Now the public has been made aware of microbiome upset and what that means for you and how you can fix it. And it is linked to hyperactivity in children. So instead of giving children their daily dose of Ritalin and making sure they come to the nurse's office every day to get their pills, how about we take a look at the food? This bill, if enacted, they say, will prohibit the manufacturer's sale and distribution of products containing these chemicals like Skittles. Y'all should be done with those by now. Skittles. It tastes like chemicals. It doesn't even taste like candy. Sour Patch Kids. Jelly beans. Pez candy. Campbell's soup. And Trident sugar-free gum, just to name a few. And foods that most people overlook are condiments that are far from benign, they say. And they have a cumulative biological effect. Mayonnaise, sour cream, salad dressing, and ketchup can all be made at home. We're going to talk about how in just a minute. In a press release from the Assembly Member's Office, Susan Little, the Government Affairs Senior Advocate from the Environmental Working Group, love them. If you have not subscribed to the Environmental Working Group, do it. Subscribe to them. Use them as a resource. They are the creators of the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 every year. So you can check that out. You can also look up all kinds of household items, perfumes, beauty products, anything that the Environmental Working Group, they will tell us the truth. You can trust them as a source. So their Vice President, Susan Little, says, why are these toxic chemicals in our food in the first place? We know they are harmful and that children are likely eating more of these chemicals than adults. It makes no sense that the same products food manufacturers sell in California are sold in the European Union and without these toxic chemicals. So we know that it's possible. And this is what I always say. I always say, I don't want an organic cracker from Keebler. Sorry, Keebler. I don't want an organic cookie from Nabisco. Sorry, Nabisco. These companies have been making organic, non-organic food for their entire existence. But suddenly, now that organic foods are $1 trillion industry, suddenly organizations like Tyson for chicken and Keebler and Nabisco and other companies, too numerous to name, would like to jump onto the organic bandwagon. Well, I'm not jumping, because if you could have made organic food after all of these years, you would have. So I don't trust you. I really don't. Sorry. So we know that Mars is already making a different version of Skittles sold in Europe. So yet the United States continues to sell the junk here because it's like crack. That's the bottom line. This stuff is like crack. And you can't even get off of it if you try. That's why people say, oh, get off of sugar. Oh my gosh, it's going to be impossible. And you know what? They're right. They're absolutely right. Here are the top 5 ingredients and their dangers. Titanium dioxide. You know what that does? It's these little bitty nanoparticles that makes things real fine. But if you inhale it, it's an anti-caking agent. But if you inhale that stuff, wow, it goes right up your nasal cavity into your brain. So be very careful on things that contain titanium dioxide. That dust is dangerous. And the International Agency for Research on Cancer says it is carcinogenic to humans, yet it is an ingredient in the breast cancer drug tamoxifen. That actually makes me very sad. It gives me, I don't even really want to say what I want to say. It makes me sad. I know a lot of women on tamoxifen. I'm going to stop there. Brominated vegetable oil. Here we are again. While Europe has banned the vegetable oil, the FDA allows manufacturers to use it as an emulsifier in almost everything. And it contains bromine, which can damage the central nervous system. And that's what's in pop. Soda, cold drink, whatever it is y'all say, soda pop, if you're in Milwaukee. But it damages the central nervous system, and it's linked to memory loss, chronic headaches, and poor balance. Mountain Dew, my husband's favorite drink, removed it in the brominated vegetable oil in 2020, but products like Sundrop and other budget store brands still contain the brominated vegetable oil. Read your labels. Read your labels. Here's the other one, potassium bromate. According to the advisory board at EWG, Environmental Working Group, potassium bromate is another additive barred in Europe because it may cause cancer, but is still allowed to be added to flour and other baked goods in the United States. You know why it's added to flour? Because flour, most of it, is bleached. When you are purchasing your flour, make every effort to buy unbleached flour. And when you are purchasing your baked goods, make sure you purchased baked goods that contain unbleached flour. Would you drink a sip of bleach? Since when is that okay? We're looking right at the label and it says enriched bleached flour. How do you enrich bleach? Just asking. It has a warning label on the bleach, y'all. And that's what they do to make it white, to make it pure. I'm going to move on. Red dye number 3. Red dye number 3, FDC, yellow number 9, all of it. But red dye number 3 in particular is contained in many sweet candies. And we know that red Twizzler, those red ones in the Skittles and all of the Sour Patch Kids. Yes, that's red dye number 3. Yet since the early 1980s, researchers have demonstrated that it is linked to cancer in lab animals and linked to behavioral issues in children. Absolutely. And on January 30th, 1990, the New York Times reported that the FDA had banned red dye number 3 in cosmetics, yet it continues to allow the toxic chemical to be ingested in food and drugs. So that red cough syrup, that red coated Tylenol, red dye number 3. And it is linked to cancer and hyperactivity. You know that already, because right, when you give those children those Twizzlers, they start bouncing off the wall. You know that's true. You didn't need to study or me to tell you. You already knew that. Propylparaben. This belongs to a group of chemicals widely used as artificial preservatives called parabens, which are very dangerous. The Daily Mail notes that polyparaben is often used in baking products. Yet the additive has been associated with infertility in animal studies, reduced sperm count in males, and as an estrogen disruptor in females. I know that people really never thought about food being linked to being a disruptor to estrogen and lowering sperm count. But I'm telling you, with a couple of clicks on the internet, you can find that information. So for the people who are struggling with fertility issues, I know what that's like. It took me 5 years to get pregnant. And I had to really make some adjustments in my life in order for me to conceive. And I cut out a lot of junk. Even when I thought I was being healthy, I still had to cut out a lot of junk. I could not get pregnant, right? 5 years for my baby to come along. It wasn't because we weren't trying. Anyway, let's not forget about the condiments, mayonnaise, a problem. Most commercially prepared mayonnaises primarily use genetically modified soybean oil. And soybean oil and corn are the number 1 and 2 pesticided crops in America today. And it is one of the most harmful oils you can eat, whether it is partially hydrogenated, organic, or even made from newer varieties. It causes chaos on the cellular level. Again, it causes chaos on the cellular level. When I am speaking to you all about repairing your oxidative stress, come on, who doesn't take a mayonnaise on a sandwich? Okay? Instead of, and asking for mustard instead. Who doesn't do that every once in a while? And when you do it, it immediately starts oxidation on the cellular level, which is why you need to combat oxidative stress each and every day. So when I'm talking about take your micro daily, take your green vibrance, do these things so that you can protect yourself from these disruptors. It is very easy to make mayonnaise in a blender with organic eggs and healthy oils. Sour cream. Oh, yes. We ditched sour cream a long time ago. We use organic, plain yogurt. Tastes exactly the same, y'all, because commercially prepared sour cream doesn't offer much in the way of real food, the working group says. Not only that, but non-organic dairy products often contain genetically engineered bovine growth hormone. Yeah, that's another show all by itself. I'm going to have to do a show on bovine growth. And it increases milk supply in cows and is linked to breast cancer in women. Salad dressing. I encourage you to read because the ever popular ranch and blue cheese salad dressings are often filled with soybean oil, monosodium glutamate, that's MSG, and homemade yogurt as a base to your own fresh herbs from your own garden. Didn't I just say a couple of weeks ago to grow something? Here's the good case for it. And you can also use apple cider vinegar, every seasoning in your cabinet, fresh chopped garlic, fresh chopped onions. Oh, it is divine. And let me tell you, you lick that plate. It's a great marinade as well as a good salad dressing. And here's the last one. Some people can't seem to do without ketchup, and my husband is one of them. Commercially prepared ketchup is like an intravenous infusion of high fructose corn syrup. In addition, it contains large bowls of sugar, they say, and that may come from genetically modified corn syrup. The ingredients in homemade ketchup are simply tomatoes, vinegar, spices, and seasoning. And if you want to skip the sugar, use honey or maple syrup. Oh, it is divine. Little labor intensive, but it's okay. Just put everything in the blender and whip it up. I brought all this to you today about banned foods because I know that I always talk about it, but as we had the newscast at the top of the hour, I'm not saying you didn't believe me, but now I really hope that you do. All right? Read your labels. Stay nourished. Stay hydrated. And repair that oxidative stress at the cellular level because it's happening everywhere you turn. That's all I have for you today. I'd like to thank you for joining me. Thank my team, IW supervising producer Chris Green, technical producer DJ Indy, and we will be back next week. Remember to let your eyes shine, cut back on the wine, get good food fast, and go easy on the greasy. I'm LaJoyce Brookshire, here to help you attain and maintain your perfect health. Let's do it again next week, okay? God bless you.